A shock to the conscience. That's how LMPD's acting chief describes the actions of one of the officers involved in the death of Breonna Taylor.
Detective Brett Hankinson was fired Friday for violating department policy on the use of deadly force.
WLKY's Denny Camper shows us why Chief Rob Schroeder called Hankinson's actions that night alarming. 7:05 this morning, and the FBI says it's dedicated to better understand what transpired on the night Breonna Taylor was killed as the agency continues investigating her death. On Friday, FBI agents returned to Springfield Drive apartment near Doss High School where Taylor was shot and killed back in March. Agents worked inside the home for several hours, telling WLKY in part they plan to, quote, take a fresh look at all of the evidence. A spokesperson says they'll also re-interview witnesses and interview those who have not previously spoken with police. Meanwhile, leaders with the National Action Network still say more needs to be done to get justice for Breonna Taylor. The organization's Louisville chapter wants all of the officers involved to be fired. They're also calling on Mayor Fisher to release more information about the shooting to Breonna's family's attorneys. They're calling on Attorney General Daniel Cameron to give a timeline on when his office will complete its own investigation into the deadly incident.
We say, why not? Set a timeline. You, the Attorney General, you set it. You set the timeline, my brother. You set the timeline.
The National Action Network says they support the passage of Breonna's law and the changes LMPD has made to its policy, but they say Breonna Taylor still has not gotten justice. And one of those policy changes applies to officers who witness other officers using excessive force. Acting LMPD Chief Rob Schroeder says officers are expected to intervene, whether it be verbally or physically. Mayor Fisher says this is part of the reform for the Metro Police Department following the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. We're told the policy provides protection for officers who do intervene.
President Trump plans to hold a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma tonight, drawing criticism from some who fear having that many people in an arena could cause COVID-19 cases to spike.
Our Matt Pritchard is live in Washington. And Matt, you spoke with the Trump campaign. What steps are they taking to protect people? Matt Pritchard live in Washington for us this morning. Thank you so much, Matt. And the rally is scheduled to begin tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll have more coverage coming up at 11 on WLKY News. Meantime, the Justice Department says the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York is resigning. But Jeffrey Berman is refuting that news. Berman had clashed with the Attorney General over some cases. He also investigated several people with connections to President Trump. The White House announced Friday night that Trump is nominating Jay Clayton to replace him. Clayton chairs the Securities and Exchange Commission, but he's never been a prosecutor. However, Berman released a statement late Friday saying he has no plans of stepping down. The time now is 6:14, and one of the 4 former Minneapolis police officers involved in the death of George Floyd has been released from jail. Thank you, Suzanne. Well, there's a new travel alert this morning. Passengers say airlines and third-party booking websites are not offering full refunds, and that's even after the airline cancels flights. Now there's even a class action lawsuit. Our national consumer correspondent, Jeff Rawson, wants you to know your rights. Speaking of sports, Governor Andy Beshear is expressing confidence that the college football season will happen this fall. But you need to hear this next part. The governor does not know yet if fans will be allowed at the games.
Whether there are fans and how many fans there can be, will depend on a lot of factors, ranging from how bad the virus is in multiple states to what the conferences decide to do to the plan that could be provided.
Earlier this week, the NCAA Division I Council approved a model for summer activities. The 6-week practice plan begins in July and will transition teams from voluntary workouts to preseason camps. Well, happening today in New York, the Belmont Stakes is happening. 10 horses will race for the $1 million purse. Tiz the Law is the 6-5 favorite. The Belmont is the first leg of the Triple Crown this year instead of the last because of the coronavirus pandemic. For the first time, the Belmont is also a major points race to make the field for the Kentucky Derby.